Hello and welcome back to our channel, the place for those who want to excel at exams, work and languages. Today I have a question for you. Have you ever thought, I'm really not gifted at this? Maybe it was about maths or languages or drawing. It happens to more or less everyone that we have at least one topic, one subject in which we feel we are really not gifted. Well, during this video, I'm going to show you how you can excel at any subject regardless of how gifted you are at the beginning. In order to understand better what I will be talking about, we need to call a scientist whose name is Dr. Carol Dweck. Now, Dr. Carol Dweck is an amazing scientist and she wrote a book that's called Mindset. In this book, she mentions two kinds of mindset, and I'm going to describe them very briefly so that we'll have the background for this video so that later I can give you the solution on how to become gifted at whatever you want. So, there are two kinds of mindset. There is fixed mindset and growth mindset. Now, fixed mindset is the mindset of those people that, simplify it, believe that you were born with X amount of a certain skill and you will die with the same exact amount. Growth mindset is the mindset of people that think that regardless of the amount of that skill that you had to begin with, you can grow it and improve. Now, what does that have to do with you? Consider that any skill that we have developed it. And it's true that we have a starting point, but we have needed to develop it over time. Even something like walking, that was, something very simple that we can usually do pretty well, unless there's some other kinds of problems. That's something that we had to learn. It wasn't automatic, even if we're now very good at walking. Same thing for singing, drawing, any kind of skill. Now, there's not a problem in having a fixed mindset in something. There's not good or bad. The point is this, that if you believe that you have a fixed mindset on something that you need or care about, it will be very, very hard to improve on it. Why? Because think about this. Successful people tend to have a growth mindset, at least in the areas that allow them to be successful. Because in order to be successful, you will need to fall, you will need to fail, you will need to bring out all your persistence, all your tenacity. And would you ever be persistent in taking actions if you already know that you have zero chances to succeed? No. When our mind doesn't see the possibility of succeeding, it doesn't even act. We won't even take the actions, but it's normal. We wouldn't want to waste our energy, time, resources for something that already we know that it will be a failure. We don't want to set ourselves for failure. So, if we have a fixed mindset, so if we believe that for that subject we are just not gifted, there's no way I'm going to improve on that, what happens is that we will not take the same actions that will help us to improve. So it's a dog chasing its tail. So what we need to know is we need to understand what steps we need to take in order to change this, in order to shift to a growth mindset and then start excelling at that subject. There are exactly 6 steps that I'm going to talk about. So take note or save this video and I'm going to describe them one by one. So if you want to excel at a subject in which you are not gifted, what happens? You need to start with step 1. Step 1 is that you need to realize that it is a process. It won't happen overnight. The beliefs that you have about yourself in that subject are beliefs that you have developed year after year after year after year. So, it's fine. It won't happen overnight. At times it will, but it will be a pleasant surprise. Usually it will take a moment, okay? It will take a little bit of training. You need to really get used to a different way of thinking about that subject and about yourself in that subject. So, once you have accepted that it's going to be a process, then we can move on to step number 2. Step number 2 is that you need to acknowledge your weak spots. What does it mean? We talk with ourselves all the time. at times out loud, at times inside our mind, but we do talk to ourselves all the time. So when we talk to ourselves, at times we are not even used to noticing what sentences are an expression of a fixed mindset in that area. We just say certain things, but those are the things that will limit us, because the more we say them to ourselves, the more we start believing in them. For example, spot yourself when you think, for example, I'm terrible at this, or this is really not for me, it's not in my chords, I will never get this thing, I'm not gifted at this. Spot yourself with no judgment. Don't beat yourself up because, I thought again that I wasn't good, but I know that I should have a growth mindset. No, you're getting back into fixed mindset by doing that. But spot it, realize, acknowledge, because if you don't notice those things, it will be hard for you to work on them. So if you notice whenever you get into that sentence, in that mood, in that mindset, then you will be able to put in place the next steps in order to change it. But you need to observe. You need to look at yourself and say, okay, what was I saying? Did I say that I'm terrible? Okay, let me note it down. That's it. Step number 3. You need to do this step, which is extremely simple, but it is as important as it is simple. So it's just one sentence, one question that you need to ask yourself, but you need to do it because otherwise all the other steps will be just failures, okay? And the question is this: is this true, or are these just opinions based on past references? I'll repeat it so that you can let it sink in. Is this belief true, or are these just opinions based on past references? This is very, very important for you. Why? Because if you believe that whatever you've told yourself is a fact, that you are terrible, that's fact, full stop, it's going to be hard to change it. But if you realize that actually it's not a fact, there was a moment in which you weren't terrible at maths, because you didn't even know what maths was maybe, but that reference after reference after reference, you became terrible at maths, then you start a different kind of process. Because you realize, you plant the seed of doubt, you realize that maybe it's not a fact, but it's something that has happened over time with a series of references one after the other. Then, once you have done step 3, you move on to step 4. And step 4 is to select what you are missing. What does it mean? It means that if you aren't good at maths yet, and I'm taking maths but you can substitute it with languages, with any other thing that you want to improve on, but that you always thought you couldn't, it means that there are some missing steps. At times it may be that you don't have the necessary knowledge. For example, in maths, this is very common. I believe that maths is not for me, but actually it's just that I didn't get the first few things, and maths is all built upon the previous level, right? So maybe I missed that class, or that year I wasn't paying attention at school, and because I had other things in my mind and so on. And so at a certain point I went back to that. It was too hard. And so I started believing that I'm bad, but it's not because I'm bad, it's just because I am missing my foreknowledge, it's called. So all that background knowledge that you need to have in order to actually understand it and perform well at it. So maybe it's foreknowledge. At times what you're missing is a method. I mean, you know very, very well that we teach people how to find their own personalized study method, because everyone needs to learn in a different way. So maybe what you are missing is that you haven't got the right method to approach that topic, that subject, that skill. So understand what you are missing, and then you can move on to step 5. And step 5 is starting to use your talents and the resources around you in order to improve on that skill, to build that skill. So you have some talents, okay? Everyone does. What are your talents? What are the talents that can help you to improve that skill? For example, maths. Maybe I'm terrible at maths, but I know that I'm super good at drawing. Not me, I wish, not yet, I'm working on it. But drawing, how can drawing help me to understand maths better? And nowadays online there are so many resources that you will find someone that teaches you math through drawing. At times I see people that are very, very good at singing, and they use maths songs in order to understand certain concepts better. But we need to start using the resources that we have around. We need to start using people. Using people is not nice, but like asking people to help us whenever we know that they can help us gain that skill. We need to start using the talents that we already have, that we have developed or that we were born with. And then at that point, step number 6, we need to take actions, repeated actions over time. We can't expect that overnight things will change, but at times it will, as I said at the beginning, but we need to be willing to put in the effort and take the actions, realize that at times we will fall. It's not that as soon as I change my mindset, things will just happen. So I take a super hard equation and I'm going to be able to sort it. No, but I can having understood what are the steps that I'm missing, then at that point I can work on them and I can improve just because I know what to work on. And it's not like the huge monster that I don't know how to face, but it's like a series of actions that I can do, that are in my core, that I am able to do. So by doing this in step 6, always remember that any skill can be improved. We need to have that in our mind. Everything can be learned, because if we are missing this belief, it's going to be very hard to learn anything new, anything that doesn't just happen immediately, okay? So take these steps and see how that goes. And to be honest, the best thing you could do for yourself right now is to take all of this and put it into action immediately. So what is that one skill that when you think about it, you're like, listen, Julia, I agree with everything you said so far, but that skill, I'm never going to be able to do it. Find that one. Find that one, because that's exactly where your resistance is. So if you have anything that you think, yeah, all these things could work for my friend, all these things could work for my partner, but with me, singing is so hard. Playing piano, trust me, I tried it in the past, nothing. Or math, listen, it's really not my thing. If you find that one skill, write it in the comments and start working on it, because you will surprise yourself. You will surprise yourself of how far you can get in the moment in which you apply these 6 steps. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment with the skill that you want to work on. If you need any help, if you want to get in touch, ask it in the comments or contact me privately. There will be my contacts underneath in the description. And I will see you in the next video, where we will talk about other aspects that really affect the way we learn something. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.